I have two of the newest wedges of 2025 in my hands today. I have the brand new TaylorMade MG5 and the Callaway OPUS SP. We're going to put them head to head to see which one is going in your bag. So we're going to kick it off with the looks, starting with TaylorMade's MG5. It's a great looking wedge. You've got a lovely kind of brushed satin finish on the back. You've got the milled grind sole, which looks fantastic, but you've also got that raw finish face as well, along with a bit of new tech on that face, which you might have seen in the TaylorMade high toe 4 wedges, but we'll get to that in a second. It's a little bit larger in its footprint in comparison to the Opus, and when you sit it down on the ground, it looks very clean, and it really is going to appeal to the masses. All right, moving on to the Callaway OPUS SP wedges. This has got that classic player shape 6th design, which is that 6th iteration, working closely with John Ram. This is the tour validated shape, which has stood the test. It's a great looking club, obviously in that black shadow finish. So when we get there, you're going to see everything that's underneath here, which is the big selling point in the OPUS SP wedge. All right, so moving on to the sound and feel, and the TaylorMade MG5 is probably the softest wedge I've ever hit. And the reason behind that is because it's forged. Now, after speaking with tour players like Colin Morikawa, they were looking for something which was the softest feeling wedge possible, and it delivers. It's really impressive. It feels great. It's super soft from anywhere around the green, from the fringes to the rough, 50 yards, 100 yards. If you open the face, play it a little bit neutral, it's just very consistent, and it sounds nice and soft and crisp on the ear as well. Okay, so moving into the Callaway OPUS SP. Now, in comparison, we have a two-piece wedge. So we have a forged face onto a cast body. Now, there's more feedback to it. It's a little bit crisper, but again, it's very consistent no matter where you play around the greens. The one thing I noticed as well, with it being a slightly wider sole, it's really easy to get through, obviously, the thicker rough and pop up and have great control. But acoustically, it is really nice to hit. When you clip it, you can feel it, you can hear it, and you just know it's going to rip and spin. Now, this might not be as soft as the MG5 because it's fully forged. Yes, this does have a forged face, but because it's got that cast body behind it, it's just going to be a little bit firmer in feel, not by much, but you're still going to get great performance, feel, and consistency out of the OPUS SP wedge. All right, diving into the tech. Now, the MG5 has gone through countless hours of grinding and testing. Now you have the forged head, which is one of the softest feeling wedges TaylorMade have ever done. But on top of that, what you have is a whole new groove design. So you've got sawmill grooves. Now, what sawmill grooves do is they basically push the limits to give you the sharpest feeling grooves possible. So when you open the face, manipulate it, you're going to get great spin no matter what. Now, on top of that, you've got that spin tread groove, which is that laser milling across the face, which we saw in the TaylorMade high toe 4, which is just going to help you kind of disperse any moisture off the face to give you better spin control on partial shots and fuller shots when you're trying to, hunt for the flag. Now, moving on to the Callaway OPUS SP wedge. Now, the SP stands for spin pocket, and you're probably wondering what that means. They've actually taken a pocket out of the basically behind the face to allow more mass to be moved around the club, to give you a higher CG for more of a lower and penetrating ball flight. So as well as that higher CG, you've also got that Spin Gen 2.0 face, which is a tighter groove design and a laser pattern design in those grooves to create more roughness, so the ball's going to grab and you're going to get more spin off it as well. Now, this comes in 5 different grinds in comparison to the MG5, which comes in 6. So there's something there for everyone, especially if you're looking for that kind of that more penetrating flight. Now it's time to compare the numbers. This is my favorite part. Now, we used the GCQuad from Foresight today to get all that important data, looking at that spin and launch numbers. So we hit shots from 100 yards, 50 yards, bunkers, from the rough, and partial shots around the greens as well. So starting with 100 yards and the MG5, the spin was really consistent, very impressive, and high as well. 9,664 with a launch of 26.9. Really nice to hit. You can just see it fizzing through the air as well, especially with the spin being as high as that was from 100 yards. You can just see it stop on the green Really, really impressive and very consistent, like I said. If you move into the Opus from 100 yards, again, very high in spin, 9,001 with a slightly higher launch of 28.3, a degree and a half essentially higher, coming down a little bit softer, but just with a little less spin as well. So with that kind of being said, fairly similar results, but if you're just looking for maybe something slightly lower in the launch, higher in spin, then the MG5 is going to be great, especially from 100 yards. Now moving into the 50-yard range, this is where it actually gets really interesting. With the MG5, the spin was 8,405 from 50 yards. Ridiculous amount of spin. 32 launch, coming down soft, stopping hard, really impressive. And again, just that forged feeling head, it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But the Opus, the spin was 6,319, so not nearly as much, well, over 2,000 less, but the launch was a lot higher. So with it being higher, it's going to come down at a slightly different descent angle, and it's still going to land really soft. It's still got a fair amount of spin in it, but just not quite as much as the MG5 from 50 yards. Now, if we look at bunker spin, this was really interesting as well, literally splitting hairs. With the 5 shots that we hit, the bunker spin with the MG5 was 2,900 to 3,300, and then with the Opus it was 2,800 to 3,300 again. Both very consistent, both really easy to get a lot of spin and control out of the bunker as well. But I have to say, you are splitting hairs when it comes to those bunker shots. But the one thing that I really enjoyed was when you're just off the green in those slightly kind of thicker lies, the Opus was really good, really consistent, and you actually got a lot of spin. The MG5, it cut through the grass really quickly, and sometimes you would feel like because of that, the ball just kind of felt like it was jumping off, but it wasn't jumping off the base at all. It was just a fact the blade and the leading edge was just cutting through the grass that little bit better. But again, from those partial shots off the drier kind of grass, the MG5 just really did spin a lot. You could almost take it at the hole and you're pretty much getting that kind of one hop and stop. With the Opus, you were still getting a huge amount of spin. It was just coming out a little bit higher, but again, you were getting the kind of one hop and stop. Occasionally, it would want to kind of grip up and then it would release on a little bit. So I would say there's maybe, if we're really kind of trying to split hairs here, you might just get a little bit more rollout off of the drier lie, and then from the thicker lie, you might get a little bit more rollout with the MG5, for example. But there's really not much in it. But what I would say is the biggest defining factor for me, and what I found was just from those 50-yard shots. For me, I find I hit a lot of those kind of partial shots from the shorter distances that are quite difficult, and I want as much spin as possible. So for me, if I was going to play one, I would be looking for something like the MG5. It was absolutely phenomenal. That's the one I would probably go for if it was me. But if you're looking for something which is going to give you a little bit, maybe you don't struggle with spin, for example, and maybe the Opus is going to be a great option for you, especially from those 50 yards. But that's the real defining factor here. From 50 yards, the MG5 just spun that little bit more in comparison to the Opus. But there's not much in it through the rest of the shots from 100 yards in and then around the greens from the bunker. So there you have it, 2 absolutely phenomenal wedges, the MG5 and the Callaway OPUS SP wedges. Make sure you go out and get fitted, and if you haven't already, remember to give us a sub, give us a like, and we'll see you next time.